To be heard, Stephen Hunt. Hi, Stephen, we will need your name and your address for the record.
Okay, it's Steve Hunt, and I live at Northwest 63rd, 2700 Northwest 63rd. When I'm not busy delivering and picking up packages for a large company that you've probably heard of, I run a group called the Oklahoma Media Awareness Alliance. Recently, about 3 or 4 months ago, we had a panel discussion. Gary Jones of the GOP, Ron Black, Mark Shannon, some others discussing the buyout of Channel 4 and 43 by Oak Hill Capital Partners in Fort Worth, an issue that we thought many people would be concerned about. You know, had a few people turn up, no media, no journal record, nothing. But what I wanted to speak about today is what has now come to be known as the Maps for Millionaires project. This is going to be something that we're going to be concentrating on quite heavily the next month. Sometime in the middle of next month or towards the end, we're going to be having a sort of town hall meeting featuring a number of speakers. Hopefully some of you all who might be for or against it would definitely like to come out. It's something that really concerns me and concerns a lot of the people that I've spoken with. A coworker of mine I was talking to about it, about how I felt that it probably wouldn't pass, and I brought up the issue of how it failed in Seattle. And he said, well, Seattle is a much more liberal town than we are. And it struck me as kind of odd that the more liberal town should be calling for personal responsibility and conservatism in business owners. You know, for so long we've been sold this ideology of personal responsibility and all that, and people who have been selling it to us refuse to believe the same things. Well, I wanted to read a little bit from an essay by David Zirin called
Stephen, how much are you going to read?
Just about a half of it. It's about 500 words at most. And
Can you do it in a minute or two?
I can do it in a minute.
Okay.
And I'm
I'll
also going to put it up on our website because I think a lot of y'all would like to look at it. And I'll just do that as quickly as I can. Okay. Pro arenas paid for by the public dime now dot the country like monuments to extortion and corporate welfare. These days, publicly funding a stadium is a simple process. A major sports owner threatens to move his or her team to another city and demands that taxpayers put up hundreds of millions of dollars to build a stadium that would be owned not by the city but by the team's owner. It goes on and talks about what happened in Washington, D.C., about how they have the highest infant mortality rate, 300 public school workers let go, fair use, got rid of buildings so that the Washington National Stadium could be built. Then he goes on to discuss a study done by the very right-leaning Brookings Institute that I highly recommend everyone look at, that shows that there is really no benefit from a publicly funded stadium. As Roger Knoll, co-author of Sports, Jobs, and Taxes, The Economic Impact of Sports Teams and Stadiums, put it, any independent study shows that as an investment, it's silly. If they're trying to sell it on the grounds of actually contributing to the economic growth and employment in Washington, D.C., that's wrong. There's never been a publicly subsidized stadium anywhere in the United States that has had the effect of increasing employment and economic growth in the city in which it was built. Then he goes on to discuss Cleveland. A lot of the discussions of the Daily Oklahoman and others has been in Indianapolis and the success story there, which is definitely debatable. But Cleveland has one of the highest poverty rates, the highest unemployment rates, and they did the publicly funded stadium thing in, I think it was 93 or 94. There's a lot of excellent information out there, and there's a lot of people that I have spoken to who say that they would rather have a light rail or, you know, more money for different projects, and that the last thing that they want is a publicly funded stadium. And they have seen the clip of Allen Iverson when he kept saying, practice, why do I want to practice? Why do I want to practice? And we're talking about building a $20 million publicly funded practice stadium for these guys. I've looked at this a lot, and there's a lot that I am saddened about that this is even an issue, that we even are considering this. You know, we talk about putting Oklahoma City on the map by having a sports team. I think Bennett's going to come here regardless of if we do this. And if not, it's going to be a PR nightmare for him and his friends if they don't come here. because they bought that team for the intent of bringing it here. And, you know, if we don't pay for it and he says, well, we're not coming, that's going to be really bad for them. So I'm not trying to sway you all, but I definitely want for us to have a real discussion on this. And I want to let everyone know that next month, I don't know the date yet, Oklahoma Media Awareness Alliance is going to have a discussion on this. We're going to have speakers. Anyone who is rabidly, I know, Mr. Cornett, that you think that this is a good idea, so I would definitely like for you to come out. It's going to be very fair. Everyone's going to have their time to speak, even give you more time like you've given me now, which I appreciate greatly. But that's basically all I have. I've got some cards here if anyone's interested in checking out the site. I'm going to put this whole thing on there. I'm going to put the Brookings Institute study on there, and that would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We have executive session. We'll be back. All we have to do is adjourn, right? One more.